Communications for the common good. So we're going to be talking about using language, using words to move people to action on the issue that you guys care about. How are we going to build support among the public, among the people who need to support the work that you do in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve as an organization. As Shannon said, I am from an organization called the Lightbox Collaborative. A little bit about myself so you know how I come to this work. I have been working with nonprofits for about 12 years now, doing communications. I started out with an organization called the SPIN Project back in 2001. I was there for 7 years. SPIN, for those of you who don't know, is an organization that works with grassroots progressive nonprofits to teach them how to do effective communications work, how to work with the media, how to build websites, how to do all the things that you need to do in order to move folks to action on the issues that nonprofits care about. The Lightbox Collaborative, we are a collection of independent consultants, so we work exclusively with nonprofit organizations. I've been doing this work with Lightbox now for a couple years. In between the SPIN project and Lightbox, I worked with a group called Underground Advertising, which also worked exclusively with nonprofits, doing ads in the San Francisco Bay Area and also nationally. Did a lot of ads in the Beltway, working with large national environmental organizations. So I've been thinking about how to communicate effectively for issue-based stuff for more than a decade now. And I'm really excited about being here to talk to you all this morning. I think you guys have a really interesting issue, and I think there are some clear ways that messaging work can help you get closer to achieving your goal. A little bit about today. We're going to about 1:15. We will have a break in there. I'm going to try and talk to you guys as little as possible. There's a lot of exercises that I want to work through with you. I'm more than happy to be interrupted. If you guys have questions or concerns, if something I say doesn't sound right to you, please shout it out. I would love to be challenged. I'd love to have a conversation with everybody today. Not only between me and you, but among the group as well. Because there's, when we talk about communications and messaging work, this really gets to some, I think we should try without it. Can everybody hear me okay if I talk without it? Or? No, you need it. I do need it. All right, thank you for doing that. Messaging and communications work, it can often be, it brings up stuff. Because it gets to issues of strategy, it gets to issues of values. What people really care about, things that are really meaningful and deep. So let's have a conversation about it today, and hopefully by the end of today, we'll have done some work that will move you closer to getting your key audiences closer to agreeing with you on the issues that you need them to agree with you on. Does that make sense to anybody? Any questions before we get started? Cool. So, if we're talking about single-payer healthcare, obviously the place I want to start is by telling you guys a story about a frog. That's the California red-legged frog. And it's a story I always tell to start off a messaging workshop. About 10 years ago, some colleagues of mine were hired by an organization that cared about the frog, that was interested in stopping the third runway at SFO. Basically, it was going to endanger the frog's habitat, and they needed to stop it. So they hired a communications firm and said, how do we talk about this? What do we say to people to get them to oppose the runway? So the firm that our colleagues of mine went out and did a bunch of research. And what they found was that what people really were worried about in the third runway was traffic. Which is great, because traffic, that's terrible. People hate traffic. And so what they needed to do was go back and tell everyone, we can't do a third runway because of the traffic. So they took this information to the group that cared about the frogs. They went in and they said, look, we can stop this. All we have to do is talk about traffic. And it went over like a lead balloon. Because they said, we want to talk about the frogs. And of course they did. That's what they cared about, right? So the moral of the story is, sometimes you're going to want to talk about frogs, but what's actually going to allow you to achieve your goals is traffic. And it's a difficult concept, really. I mean, you guys are in this work for some very important reasons, right? You care about single payer because it's the right thing to do, because it's aligned with your values. You might find at some point there's a key audience that you need that's really all about the economic argument, and you need to make that argument to them. It might not be as clear-cut as frogs versus traffic, but there's questions you need to ask. There's real things you need to think about to decide what the value is, what it is you're going to be talking about, what you're going to hang your communications on in order to get people to agree with you. And that's what we're going to start doing today, thinking about our audiences, thinking about what we need to say to them to get them to agree with us. Okay, any questions about the frog? Great. Well, let's start off this morning by doing some introductions. I've introduced myself, but I'd actually like to hear from all of you. And because we're doing a workshop, I'd like to do this in a particular way. That long acronym that I always have trouble with stands for, why do you do what you do? This is actually, it's a website and it's a project started by this guy, Tony DeFell. And it started at Burning Man, which is that big countercultural thing out in the desert. But what Tony did is, so here's the deal. Tony was he worked for a nonprofit. He was the leader of a nonprofit. This is about 8 or 9 years ago. And the nonprofit taught kids how to use video to tell stories, like really ahead of its time, very cool organization. Tony got a call one day from a 13-year-old who had been tasked with doing a report on local leaders in the community, asking them about the work that they did and trying to explain that. So Tony gets this call out of the blue, he didn't know this was coming. And the first question the kid asked him is, why do you do what you do? And Tony had no answer for this, right? Because often when we're so deep in the work, we talk about the process, we talk about the outcomes, we talk about kind of the end result and the means we use to get there. But the important thing, the thing that, and this we're going to hit this many, many times today, the thing that will get people to actually agree with you first is the why of it, is the values piece of it. And that's often what we're least good at doing. So I wanted to do a round of introductions with you guys. And there's Tony's answer, right? This is why he does what he does, to be stirred awake. Here's some other answers. There's a bunch of these online at whydoyoudowhatyoudoo.org. To connect with others, even in a small way. This guy's an architect, and he does what he does because he loved Lego as a kid. This guy is actually, he works, he's a lab tech, right? And so the reason he does what he does is because each one of these slides is a potential cancer case, and someone has to review them. So there's something really important about the work that he's doing, and he's getting at that. And so what I want to ask each of you to do to start off, to introduce yourselves today. And you guys all know each other? Is that true? No. Somewhat? Okay, good. Well, I don't know any of you, and I'm really interested in why you do what you do. So what I would like you to do is to answer this question. In just a sentence or two, your name and why you do what you do, specifically in relation to Healthcare for All California. And because I wouldn't ask you to do this without doing it myself, I don't like to do that. This is why I do what I do. Because nonprofit stories can change the world, and I love telling them. I really enjoy the work that I do. So what I'd like you to do is to take a minute or two and come up with your answer to this question, and I'll ask you all to share them back. Any questions about that? Cool, thanks. Can anybody not get one of my handouts that has the space to write this on? Anybody having difficulty with this? For all you compulsive note takers in the room, afterwards, the handout that I've given you is mostly just for the exercises, although 6 principles of effective messaging that I think are really important are on the back of it. We'll talk about those too. All right, are we ready to go around the room and do some introductions? Bart, would you start?
Sure. My name's Bart Woolery, and I do this because I'm a liberal nerd, and communicating about this issue feeds both my intellect and my passion.
Very nice.
My name is Jan Meslin, and I'm a human rights activist because I believe I'm doing my part in making the world better, and let's all do it in our own ways.
So already we're getting passion, intellect, making the world better, human rights. These are really powerful values words, which is what you get when you think about why you do something.
Hi, I'm Chrisinda Buzz, and I'm a nurse, and I love being a nurse. And when I work with this crazy, dysfunctional, profit-driven system, I'm finding it harder and harder to do my job.
Hello, I am Jay Goolsby, and I taught communications, graphic design, and all that sort of thing at UCSB, and also managed all their design and production for their school, and also as a manager for corporate communications, advertising, and lots of and psychological research, lots of years in that. And I'm here to learn. I recently did an ad for the organization too.
My name is Jan Kettler. I'm with the Santa Barbara chapter of Healthcare for All California. This is my husband, Jay Goolsby. And I have questions, I'm looking for answers, and when I find them, I'd like to share it with people.
Questions and answers.
Yep.
Share. All this. Great.
I'm Carol Dalrymple, Santa Clara County chapter. I believe that all human activities should be governed by two basic principles, reason and compassion. And I think that single payer embodies both of those principles perfectly.
Reason and compassion, that's kind of two big poles to think about for the communications work that you guys do.
My name is Hubert Morel Setu. I'm from the San Francisco Mid-Peninsula chapter of Healthcare for All. And the reason I do the work I do is because I'm a Quaker, and it is the right thing to do.
The right thing to do. I think that is at the core of a lot of the reasons in this room too. And think about it, so that's an interesting aspect as well.
I'm Danny Braunstein from the Yolo County chapter, and I have the time and the energy and professional experience to try to change a very unjust and ineffective system.
Excellent. Injustice and ineffectiveness. That's the same, that's compassion and reason, right? That's the same thing.
I'm Millie Braunstein from the Yolo County chapter also, and also a nurse, and feel very passionate about the work I do to try to look at a way to help prevent unnecessary pain and suffering. You know, how do we help people get access? And this seems like the answer.
You had a question?
I was surprised that in the list of values you had, you did not have justice.
Is justice enough? It usually is. I don't know how that fell off.
I didn't say it.
Doris Nelson.
You're definitely right. Justice is an important one, and we'll get to that one. Justice is a huge value, I think, for the work that you guys do. That's the next exercise, and when we talk about that, it's certainly not an exhaustive list. I don't know how, justice is like, that's a really important one. So yes, we'll get to that. Thank you.
It's often
$15 for the lunch.
Yeah. I don't think that's quite the justice we're talking about. I think the work that you guys do.
I'm Vic Guzman with the California Alliance for Retired Americans, and the work I do is to help the seniors and not get cheated, and we're trying to stop everything that has anything to do with seniors, which they're being abused and scammed, and just we're trying to stop all of that on behalf of Carl.
Yeah, that's an important constituency.
I'm Nancy Tilcock, and I lived in Scotland and had National Health, and I know it works, and it could work here very well also. And every time I'm out precinct walking or something and hit the seniors who practically strangled me, crying about the fact that they lost everything with a spouse's illness. I think we need to go beyond that and start doing what we should. Healthcare is a right for everyone.
Hi, I'm Ellen Carroll from Marin County, and I'm an idealist, and ever since childhood, all my birthday cakes were, the candles were blown out with a wish for world peace. And then, and then 6 years ago, I found healthcare for all, and now I wish for single payer in California. So it's kind of like that guy who wrote Flo, the Polish Czech guy with no vowels in his name, and he said, what you want to do, what you want to engage yourself in is something that's doable, not something that's too boring, that's easy, and not something that's out of reach. And so this is an issue that suits me.
That's excellent. That's a very personal answer to that question. But I think that's another key point that I want to make today is that when you're doing messaging and communications work, it's really got to be something that you feel personally and feel strongly. A story can do that, something that gets your personality across is going to be really important in doing this work well.
Hi, I'm Dave Garcia. I'm at Butte County, Chico, and I do this because human rights and environmental rights are interconnected, and that provides us a healthy and a safe life for everybody.
Great, thank you.
Doris Isolini Nelson, Healthcare for All, Los Angeles, and healthcare is a human right. We have these posters, and the San Gabriel Valley group also has it with Healthcare for All Los Angeles. Of course, that's the LA chapter. So I've been involved for 25 years or so, and it's one of the most important movements in the 20th and 21st centuries for myself, for my children, and all that come after me.
I hardly know which part of the story to tell you, but I ran the cafeteria upstairs in the Capitol for about 20 years, and about halfway through that, actually a lot of people have been telling me, you ought to really get involved in this single payer movement. You really should. I'm an old nurse. I got my RN back in 1957, my bachelor's degree in 75. Oh, those are like ages ago. And I'm married. My husband is blind, has always been blind. He was in business, so we were in business together for about 50 years. He now has Parkinson's, and that's a very interesting thing. We also had a son that was disabled. And in our cafeterias that we ran, we always hired people that were disabled. So when I finally came around to, what do you know, Carolyn? You know about people that are sick, you know about people that are disabled, you know about what it's like to run a business and provide, health insurance, and how to hire people, and what happens when you have to let them go and they lose their insurance, and it's crazy making as an employer, as a mother, as an individual. I pretty much knew what I had to do. You have to, make it part of your life and deal with it. So, and then being right there in the Capitol, where what I tell everyone about the Capitol, if they complain about it, is no one goes to the Capitol unless they have a problem and they think things are going to be better when they leave here. Now, they may have totally different values than I do, but no one comes there without a problem. I figured I was in a good spot. And I learned about healthcare for all at the same time and got involved.
One thing I wanted to cover in what you said, you just gave us a lot of information about why you do this, and one of the things I want to give you guys today is a model for organizing that into a way that's really easily digestible for your audiences, so that you've know exactly what you've got 10 seconds to say what you want to say. You'll know what to leave with. But thank you for that. That's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, I'm Joe Dion. I'm from the Sacramento Valley chapter. I'm a retired middle school principal, been retired 19 years. I have the best health care in the world. I have a good pension, and I have a lot of good things in my life, and I'd like to see other people get that too. Thank you.
My name is Pat Snyder. I'm from Contra Costa County. I'm a retired nurse also, and I am committed to this work not only because I think single payer has the potential to reduce unnecessary suffering, but because I think it will have a massively positive impact on many difficult social problems beyond health.
Randy Hicks, Californians with Disability Rights. This is a disability issue. What's happened is single payer would solve to live independently. Disabled folks need medical care, and a lot of people aren't getting medical care, and that's the big issue with me. And as a disabled person myself, I can tell you without insurance, you can't get treatment. Without treatment, you're institutionalized. You can't have independence. So for me, this is all about living on your own, living independently, and living a good life.
That's great. So independence, that's what I wouldn't have thought of as being an important value that animates this work. That's great. Thank you.
My name's Jerry Hunt, and I'm from San Jose, Santa Clara County. I try to look at things in terms of values. How do numeric values equal written values?
My name is Shannon Miller, and I do this because I lived the dream. I lived abroad for 9 years, and then I lost my health care coverage when I moved back to my home country.
I'm Forrest Harlan. I got involved because I've always been involved in politics, but I got involved in this movement because my wife and I had to spend $90,000 out of pocket with insurance when she got an auto accident and I got cancer. So for me it's personal, but it's also social, and it's for everybody. I'm also now working in the independent living movement, and it's about bringing disabilities into the mainstream, and it's about getting